And welcome to everyone. As Judy said, my name is Beth Namachivaya. I'm at the University of Waterloo in Ontario, and I am chair of the ARL Scholars and Scholarship Committee. Our committee is interested in particular in engaged scholarship. We talk about this using a range of terms: community engagement, knowledge mobilization, public and societal impact. This fall, ARL will be holding an executive institute for member representatives on research libraries, civic engagement, and civic health. We're also exploring the creation of a community group of member library staff who are really working on the front lines of these issues. So it's a pleasure to welcome you to this discussion with Made by Us, a network of hundreds of US history museums collaborating to bring Gen Z into the forefront of commemorating America 250 in 2026 by engaging them in our cultural memory and heritage institutions as the heirs to democracy and the founders of its next chapter. It's now my pleasure to turn the mic over to Lisa Carter, chair of ARL's Learning Network Committee. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks so much, Beth. So as Beth was said, I'm Lisa Carter. I'm the Dean of Libraries at the University of Michigan, and I am also the chair of the Learning Network Committee. And the Learning Network Committee helps to identify opportunities that motivate and inspire members to confidently address present and future challenges in research libraries. Our ARL member representatives explored success factors for building trust with constituencies at our recent spring membership meeting. And our panel of experts at that meeting emphasized the importance of building relationships with stakeholder groups and the influence that peers have on building trust with students. Made by Us is an initiative that meets students where they are and brings peer influence to engagement in the democratic process. And so we're offering this webinar today to introduce you to this possibility for engaging with this nonpartisan network of history museums, historic sites, and civic organizations. Made by Us's goal is connecting young people to history and civics and helping them to see its relevance to their everyday life. They invite students and young folks to bring their own knowledge and stories to our institutions, and by doing so, encouraging them to become more engaged citizens. And as libraries and research institutions, we have the privilege of stewarding rich collections and connecting with students and lifelong learners wherever they are in their civic journey. So for example, on my campus and maybe on many of yours, there's increasing emphasis on providing pathways for students to learn about and participate in democracy, civic empowerment, and global engagement. And so that's why we're excited to bring you this opportunity from Made by Us. And so it's now my pleasure to introduce Nia Mosby and Hope Delgado from Made by Us. I'll turn it over to the two of you.
Thank you, Lisa. And thank you, Bev, so much for those wonderful introductions of Made by Us and our work. I'm excited to chat with you all today. So my name is Nia Mosby. I am the head of programs and civic season with Made by Us. So within that, I lead our summer initiative civic season, which I'm excited to chat with you all about today, and work with a group of awesome fellows who fall within our target audience to collaborate on the programming and content you see around civic season, as well as work with a group of regional leads and advisors from our partner institutions, just to make sure that we're amplifying this nationwide movement around the country. And I will quickly pass things on to Hope to introduce herself.
Cool. Thanks, Nia. Hi, everyone. My name is Hope. I am the Program and Content Associate with Made by Us. So I work obviously very closely with Nia on all things civic season, especially doing outreach and graphics and materials and stuff like that. But I also do a lot of content for general civic season and also Made by Us. So I manage our Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, and those types of digital platforms. And yeah, excited to be here with y'all today.
Awesome. Thanks, Hope. And so I'm going to share just a quick presentation with you all, share what Civic Season is all about, how you and your institutions can get involved, and what that looks like specifically for libraries. So Beth and Lisa did a wonderful job really already kind of explaining what Made by Us is all about, and really just trying to be a bridging space between the awesome history and civic stories and just community building that institutions like museums, like libraries, like state and federal archives have to offer to young people, and really meeting young people where they are. So for our institutions, we try to do that through a couple of different ways, like our quarterly calls that we do 4 times a year, an opportunity to network with the over 400 participants within our network, hear what other institutions are up to, hear how they're trying to engage with young people. And then we also run monthly power hours that's all about youth engagement and helping institutions kind of better the youth engagement that they're doing within their communities. Our social media really acts as a program for us as well. So as Hope already stated, with our presence on Instagram and on TikTok, we really try to use that as a space, like I said, to meet young people where they are, telling the really rich history and stories from our partner institutions and collaborating with them on that. So if you're interested in being part of the Made by Us network, I'll make sure to drop our emails at the end of the call, and we would love for you all to join and learn more about that process. So for Made by Us, and like I said, within these kind of resources that we're trying to share with our partners and then try to provide really tangible ways for young people to really engage, thus comes this program that we're doing for the 5th year now called Civic Season. So it lands between the nation's newest federal holiday, which is Juneteenth, and the oldest, which is July 4th. And it really came about as kind of an alternative to just the general kind of celebration that comes with July 4th. And for some, didn't feel right, especially when we first started this program. And for some, it does. So we wanted to be able to observe and acknowledge all the rich stories and different narratives that make up this country, and wanting to do that within that time period. And so within that, we have about 560 museums, cultural institutions, libraries, influencers all participate around the country and kind of sharing these stories and these history. And I'll talk a little bit about specifically what that looks like. We hope that with Civic Season, it really inspires reflection, a really action, and a sense of belonging through history and civic connection. We know that for young people, that is a real want to be connected with others, especially other young people, to be connected in spaces that feel like they're for them. So we're really thinking about the idea of third space a lot this year within Civic Season as well, and then really giving them the tools to be more civically engaged in their communities and in this country. So Civic Season really looks to answer all of those needs. And then for a lot of the institutions that participate in Civic Season, we like to think of this as a test kitchen for really youth-centered programming as we lead up to the America's 250th in 2026, which we know a lot of institutions are focused on as well. So we try to be a capacity builder. We know various institutions have differing capacities for staffing, for budget, for the amount of engagement that they're already doing with young people. So we try to provide a lot of different resources and tools to help build that capacity. In the hope that as we go into this next chapter of our country, we're really centering young people and what that can look like and shape that to be. And so we are truly a movement made by us. So we are a small but mighty team within the Made by Us kind of offices. So we have 5 awesome full-time staff members, and then we have 2 really great senior fellows. And then truly outside of that, it is the young people that we work with, it is the institutions that we work with that really help to make Civic Season and the work we do at Made by Us happen. And I really want to highlight our fellows who, like I said, are 18 to 30 years old, and they come from various backgrounds. Some of them are college students, some of them are newly in their career fields. A lot of them are, most of them, all of them are really just focused on wanting to be a part of civic engagement and what that can look like for them. So some of them are math majors, some of them are artists, some of them do have a history and poli-sci background, but that is what makes this so great because we're getting all their varied perspectives as we're doing this work. So as we share some of these resources, a lot of them came from our fellows and their thoughts and their ideas, which is so important to us. In order to build for young people, you have to build with young people and to make it impactful for them. So with each year with Civic Season, we like to really focus on overarching theme that all of the institutions that participate can kind of hold on to and think about within their programming. So this year is really thinking about building community spaces through stories and spaces. So we want to create those connections through the shared stories that we all have to offer in your various institutions, really thinking of the sites that participate in Civic Season and making them into places that are hubs for collaboration and learning. I always talk about how libraries are already really good at that kind of work. So just how can we enhance that more? How can we make sure that other institutions are doing that as well? And then really using this as a time for engagement and building stronger local communities. We're leaning into that as much as possible this year. It's just really fostering community, building that up, and using the institutions that participate in Civic Season to really help make that happen. So how organizations can shape Civic Season, otherwise how you all can participate. So it looks different from org to org, city to city, state to state, which is why Civic Season is so great and so unique, because there is no one way to do Civic Season. So for institutions that participate, it can include hosting an in-person program. We like to say, and I'll talk a little bit more about this, you do not have to reinvent the wheel. So if you're wanting to do something new for Civic Season and try new programming, that's awesome. But if you have programming and resources that just are evergreen or fall between that 2.5 week period, we love to see that as well. So really amplifying the summer programming or offerings that you already have for Civic Season. Provide digital resources and programming. So just we know that you all have incredible collections and things that can be shared with your community, specifically with young people. So that's a great addition for Civic Season as well. And then amplifying Civic Season on social and in press. So for all of these various ways that you are participating in Civic Season, you are able to submit that programming and resources to the Civic Season website, which we'll be able to drop a link for in a second. And on the Civic Season website, there's about 1,300 plus programs and resources that young people and people in communities in general can access during that time and beyond Civic Season. So it's a great place for them to really figure out like how they want to be civically involved, and kind of starting from that as a place to, really start to dive deep. So we try to provide all of that on the Civic Season website. So as I talked about a little bit already, many institutions host in-person programs for Civic Season. And that can be that they're amplifying their Juneteenth programming that they may be doing. So we had the Atlanta History Center, who does a program every year centered around Juneteenth, and they count that as their Civic Season program. We also have the Historic Locust Grove in Kentucky, who do an annual 4th of July at Locust Grove program. And you can do something different. So if you're wanting to do a completely new program, we have Atlanta History Center as well, did a really cool program called Comedy and Conversations. And what that entailed was that they worked with a awesome comedian from the Atlanta area to think about certain facets of history in the Atlanta area and use that to make a set. They had over 100 people who ended up attending that program. And then we had the Civic Season Festival that happened at Wyoming State Museum. So it was a great way to come learn about civic involvement in your community while enjoying some fun music. We like to, like I said, don't have to reinvent the wheel. If there is programming that you're doing that you can really think about just how can you tweak it for a younger audience so that they want to and can participate. And then we have digital programs and resources, which I definitely think is a great inclusion for you all as institutions to have for Civic Season this year, because we know that not everyone can get to an in-person program, so they still can be involved with Civic Season through the digital resources, through the evergreen pieces that are offered on the Civic Season website that institutions like yourself can submit for that 3-week period. So, for example, we have the National Air and Space Museum. They do an awesome Queer Space podcast series. And so they share the episodes of that podcast during Civic Season to be featured on the website. We also have Library of Virginia, who participates every year in Civic Season, and they have a Civic Conversation Dialogue Guide. So this is something that they usually do in person at their site, but they ended up submitting the guide as a resource for anyone to be able to do it, no matter where they are basically in the country. And as I talked about already, these are quite a few different programs and resources that we offer during Civic Season. So we offered something starting last year called Build Your Civic Season. And this is a free resource, and everything that I'm sharing is a free resource that you can access during Civic Season and beyond. And it allows a user to come to our website, take a quick quiz, and be able to figure out exactly how they and get basically a list of all the programs and resources that they can access during Civic Season. So you have a couple of examples here, and they can just add them to their list and be able to share it out as well. Why this is such a cool tool is that not only can a user come to our website and create their list, but also an institution come to our website and create a list. So if you wanted to come to our site and basically just find all of the library programs and resources that are happening around the country, you're able to create a list of that. And then if you want, you can send it straight to me or someone on the Made by Us team, and we will customize this top part for you to have your institution's name. And then you can share that out to community members as a resource for Civic Season. So like I said, digital resources are just as important as in-person programs. And so this is a great offering that we will love to offer to you all as well. And then one other really cool offering that we have is our Civic Superpower Quiz. So this is another kind of on-ramp we like to think of when we try to help users who come to our website and who come to in-person events also figure out kind of where their civic standing is. So if they are a nurturer, an amplifier, a defender, or connector, they're able to find out what that civic superpower is, and then as well as figure out what other individuals from history kind of match that civic superpower. So I wanted to take a quick minute, and I believe Hope dropped the link in the chat, and for you all to be able to take the quiz really quickly and figure out what your civic superpower is. So I'll let you all take a second to do that. One thing that I will say is that you may end up having multiple civic superpowers, which is awesome. Or you may feel more inclined to another as you read your results. Those are all great. You may match up with someone, which is also cool too. So I'll take a second. And once you find out what your civic superpower is, you can feel free to add it into the chat. And that's what's so cool about this quiz. And actually, we'll be doing a little bit of an update for it in the next couple of days. So you'll be able to figure out if you're still a nurturer in the next couple of days or an amplifier, is that it allows you to find some commonality with others who may be in your circle or out of your circle. So many institutions like to just share this either on site during Civic Season, or they like to offer it in newsletters that they do around Civic Season, just as a way for individuals to kind of figure out their civic standing. Because one thing that we really try to highlight, both with the work that we do at Made by Us and with Civic Season as well, is that voting is so important and is like the cornerstone to what we think about when we think of civic engagement. But there are also so many other different ways that you can be civically engaged in your community, and making sure to share that and kind of figure that out. So as simple as visiting your museum, going to the library, cleaning off a marker in your neighborhood, whether that is going and having a discussion with someone you normally want to have a discussion with. All of these things speak to civic engagement. And so we really are trying to come up with really engaging and unique ways to really highlight those kind of ways to be involved in that way. Awesome. Okay, love the nurturers uniting. Perfect. So another resource that I'm super excited that you all will be one of the first groups that we'll be able to share this with is that we have our Civic Season guidebook. So we have done this the past 2 years for Civic Season, and it is completely developed content-wise by our fellows and then designed by a Gen Z designer. And so this is another way to kind of do Civic Season no matter where you are. And we both provide this digitally as well as provide printed copies that you can purchase. And it try to speaks to the theme of Civic Season every year. So this one is called Mapping Your Community. And what we're having people who work within the guidebook this year is to kind of really think about all the different ways that community can exist, and think about really engaging activities that can answer closer to those different types of communities, and how third spaces like museums, like libraries can really inhabit those ideas. So I can quickly share a little sneak peek of the guidebook. Awesome. So like I said, this will be available digitally on our website, probably starting today, but we also have last year's version there as well. So there's about 10 plus activities within the guidebook. What's so cool about the digital version of this is that not only can you just kind of go through and scroll all the different activities, but you can also download them as a PDF. So if there are specific activities that you like, that kind of speaks to anything that you're wanting to tell or show, you can pull that specific activity and share it with others. So we had each of the fellows think about different community spaces, mostly within museums, and the idea of like the atrium, and it's a place that people can come and innovate. So having someone who speaks from history, who speaks to the idea of innovation, and then coming up with some different activities that speak to that. And then kind of similar with empowering in the exhibition. And so really looking at different civil rights figures in history and having you kind of think about how you can make your empowering change checklist, or how you can do a fun crossword puzzle, and then how you can kind of match up different figures from history and the work that they've done to really empower others. So there is things like that all
Yeah,
through.
sorry, if you're
Very
sharing
fine.
your screen right now.
Yes, did it pause? That's
No, I was
totally great. Thanks. Okay. So this is, I'll go back a little bit and go from the very beginning, but this is all the different kind of activities and things that you can discover within the guidebook. And it's just such a unique piece of kind of literature and things that you can share with others. And then what's so great about it is someone may really identify with a particular section in the guidebook, which is awesome. So they can go through that particular section, kind of explore it, and then from there they can go and explore other pieces within the guidebook in the hopes that they will go and do the full version of it and really get something out of it. So as I said, this is something that will be available starting today, hopefully, if I get it uploaded today. And it'll be something that you all can download and share or feature at any point during civic season. So hopefully it went back to the main screen. Okay. And then finally, really thinking about amplifying civic season on social and in press. So we share and create a civic season toolkit every year, and it's a great resource that you can use if you're wanting to post about civic season online. So if you want to share that you're a proud host of civic season, if you can't do something in person, this is a great way to do something digitally as well. So Engage Arkansas did an awesome social media campaign, and it showed all the different, excuse me, it showed all the different ways that you can get involved during civic season in Arkansas. And then we had opinion and op-ed pieces that come out. So thinking about how July 4th weekend and how it can be a different way to celebrate the history that we share. So within the Civic Season Toolkit, we provide all the resources and assets to be able to do these kind of things during civic season. And in any way, and if you, whatever you choose from these options, they're all great ways to really think about and participate in civic season, especially this year. So I wanted to really give you all some kind of thoughts on like how you can really unlock youth engagement this summer at your institution. As I know, many of you are on college campuses, so maybe you don't have young people on campus, or maybe you don't have many young people on campus. So what can you be doing specifically during civic season to still participate? So first, like I said, share any digital and virtual resources with your community by way of submitting them to the Civic Season website. Any of those offerings are, like I said, just as important and just as needed as anything happening in person around the country, and really allows us to have varying different thoughts, opinions, facts related to our country that can be shared during civic season. If you're still wanting to do something in person or just invite young people into your space, we say invite local youth and youth professionals, young professionals organizations to participate and collaborate in programming. So if there's a young professionals organization outside of the campus, if you're on campus, can you reach out to them to participate in Civic Season and invite them to come onto your site to explore your collections, to kind of create a space for themselves within the space that you offer them. And then if you are wanting to do something specifically with them, can you collaborate with them on programming that can be done for Civic Season or any programming throughout the year? What we try to really say in general is if you are wanting to do this type of youth engagement and really think about young people and the program that you're creating, the best way to do that is to collaborate with them and to ask them. And when we say that, that's kind of like a novel thing to a lot of institutions, but really just working with young people and collaborating with them allows them to want to participate even more and bring other young people into the space to kind of experience the work that they have done. So really inviting those young people to be able to do that is a great way to kind of think about that. Sharing information with where young people are. So whether that is if you're doing an in-person event, if you're sharing a resource for Civic Season, going to spaces like coffee shops, local bookstores, to co-working spaces where we know young people usually are inhabiting, and putting them up flyers up in these spaces. We literally have asked the young people that we work with, and they're like, yeah, we still love a good flyer. We still love newsletters. Like, those are still great ways to kind of engage with us, especially for a lot of young people who are looking to kind of find stuff outside of like the use of their phones. A lot of young people kind of want to step away from their phones, step away from social media. So going to those more in-person places can really help that happen. And then finally, partner with other Civic Season host sites. Like I said, there's about 500 institutions around the country that participate in Civic Season annually. And we would love to connect you all with any of those institutions if you're interested in collaborating with them, whether that's on in-person programming, whether that is on a digital resource. They are happy to collaborate with one another. We really try to speak to that in the work that we're doing at Made by Us, is that it's more important, and it's just in order to kind of all sales lift, is that this collaboration is really necessary in order to better reach young people. So we have regional groups that meet on a monthly basis to talk about and think about Civic Season. So if you would like to join one of those groups as well, we can happy to share that information with you all too. So one thing, and we have some time, so we'll do this in the chat a little bit. It's something that we do as we're thinking about programming within Made by Us and sharing with our institutions, is to do a forum basically of asset mapping. So really think about what you all have to offer as institutions that you can share with young people, both during the summer and outside of the summer. So I would love to take a second to kind of just brainstorm what you all can offer during Civic Season. And like I said, as we're going through each of these questions, you can feel free to drop your answers into the chat, or you can come off mute. Both are fine. So the first question is, what's one thing your library already does that can engage young adults if done in a new way this summer? So what is kind of the secret sauce within your institution that you would like to share more with young people this year? And I'll give everyone a second to kind of drop an answer if they have one. Or like I said, you can come off mute too. And then thinking through if there's any, I want to share this, like I said, as a resource, as you all may be thinking about programming for Civic Season. So the other three questions include, how can you turn the existing programming or resource into a quick, engaging event or virtual digital resource for young people? What's one unexpected way you could bring young adults into your library spaces, physical or virtual, during Civic Season? And then what's a simple way you could collaborate with other local organizations to bring young adults to your programming? So like I said, really highlighting the idea of collaboration as a really quick and easy way to kind of get into to spread the word for Civic Season this year. If you are in the DC area, we are doing a pop-up with the Smithsonian National Museum of American History this year. And we're inviting people to basically share their wish for the country for 2025, 2026, and beyond. So they will be doing a couple different tabling opportunities there. So if that is of interest to you and you're in the DC area, please feel free to reach out to me and I'll be happy to connect you with Nama in order to kind of see about tabling during that those couple of weeks. Awesome. And I'm just going to go back into the chat. Marcel said the ARL library closest to me does a symposium on AI and democracy. Oh, yes. That's awesome. That's great. Yeah, just really thinking about like what are the kind of quick changes and the things that we could do to really just not change exactly the program that we're doing, but just to think more intentionally to bring young people into that programming, I think is really what makes a difference. Okay, Ricky said we probably all have videos or programs we hosted at our libraries that could be related to virtual bookshelves or live guides about to explore, so let's learn more. I'm thinking about one we did last school year on exhibit regarding protests on campuses. Awesome. I love that. And one thing, like I said, that I want to offer to you all with that build your own itinerary feature that you have is that if you all decide that as a group that everyone is submitting some type of program or resource to Civic Season, I would be happy to share with you all a full Association of Research Libraries list. I can customize that for you all and create that. So if that's something that you all want to share out amongst your network or to whoever during Civic Season, we can give that to you as an option. Awesome. So just a couple of final things that I want to share with you all as we are wrapping up in regards to just how you can participate in Civic Season. There are three main ways to participate. First is to register your organization and let us know how you plan to participate. So registration is important for a couple of reasons. It just makes it easier for us to know who is participating with Civic Season every year. We want to be able to highlight all the amazing institutions that participate. And the easiest way for us to do that is for us to see it through the registration list. And also we compile all the participating organizations into a map that you can find on the Civic Season website. So I want to make sure to be able to count you in on that map as one of the awesome institutions participating for Civic Season for 2025. Explore the Civic Season Join page. There are tons of resources, some that I didn't even get a chance to go over today, that you can use from the website to kind of think about programming for Civic Season. There are evergreen resources, so if you wanted to use that for programming outside of Civic Season, you are more than welcome to. One thing that I really want to highlight is a featured template booklet that we have. So it's a really good booklet to kind of show really successful programming from past Civic Seasons that institutions have done. So I want to share that with you all as well. We also have a community hub guide within the join page as well. So this was created wholly by our Civic Season Design Fellows. So it was made by young people, and it's really exploration of different types of information strategies that you can think of and kind of work on in order to better bring young people into third spaces during Civic Season and beyond. And then finally, sign up to submit your programs and resources to the Civic Season website by May 31st. So that's just so we can get it all in at the same time and approved for the Civic Season website. All of the programming that's submitted to the Civic Season website is approved by our fellows, just so we can make sure we have a young person's touch to what's getting approved for the website. I will say that there is rarely nothing that has ever been like not approved for the Civic Season website. The thing that may happen is our young person will maybe like, maybe we can make this title just a little bit more interesting and a little bit more accessible for someone who may be interested in this but doesn't quite know exactly what's being told here. So things like that will happen. We'll always let you know before approving that. But as many submissions as you would like, we welcome to the Civic Season website. And so that is everything I have to share within Civic Season, what's going on this year, how you all can get involved. But yeah, want to give time and space if there's any additional questions that anyone may have, happy to answer those. Some great questions as well already. Yes, Lisa.
Yeah, thanks for this presentation. This was so great to hear what you all are doing around civic season. And like you've given so many resources that anybody could just like click in and figure out even the small things, right? Like social media or amplifying. I love the idea of amplifying work that we're already doing. And I also I really like the Civic Superpower quiz. Like, I think that's a really engaging way to get people started to think about this. Um, let me just say, I appreciate all that you shared with us about Civic season. But as you pointed out, a lot of what we'll be doing over the summer is partnering with people in the local community and things like that. What are you all going to be up to in the fall?
That is a great question. So I hinted at a little bit with talking about the 250th, but that's kind of always been our guiding light when it came to Made by Us, and with forming Civic Season. So we are going to be really starting to focus on that starting after Civic Season.
Hmm.
And so that'll include for our partner institutions, kind of like I said, we've been doing these regional meetups for Civic Season this past couple of months. We're going to kind of pivot to that, start thinking about the 250th. A lot of institutions are already doing that, but starting to pivot more around those conversations, what institutions are doing for the 250th, what does that mean in the climate that we're in as a country? How can our institutions kind of step into that? So, in regards to that, we're going to start to really flip to that idea. And something that we've been doing for the past year now is that we have an awesome program called Youth 250. So we have 100 young people from across the country, and we have been basically training them to become consultants for institutions who want to do programming for the 250th. So if you are like, we have one institution who wants to do like an America's potluck. Okay, that's awesome. How are you making sure to include young people in that? They're not sure, no worries. You can sign up for a consultation with this group of young people, like I said, who's just been very well trained over the past couple of months to really have these conversations and really get really constructive feedback and brainstorm ideas to kind of do that programming heading into next year. So really thinking and focusing on that. Another thing that we're really hoping to do post civic season is start a content corp with all these young people that have come into our network over the past couple of years. So trying to find an opportunity for them to stay connected with us by way of sharing their stories and sharing what matters to them. So whether that is in social media posts, whether that is in op-eds, whether that is collaborating with other institutions and sharing that out in whatever format, we are working on that as well. So that is kind of our next big thing. It's really focusing and thinking about the 250th and thinking about how to best provide resources to institutions to have capacity to do that work.
Well, that's really great. And that's really helpful because I can pick up some of these social media type things, amplifying things that we're already doing for the summer. But our campus is also thinking about 250 and how
Awesome.
to really engage students around that. And so we can start working and planning now, right, to sort of
Yes.
embed with the Youth 2050. So I really appreciate that you're sharing that too, because that allows us a
Yes.
way of thinking about, oh, what could we be planning for this summer for fall?
Yes, for sure, for sure. And one thing, Hope dropped the link to U250 into the chat. And in that we have a toolkit that we created. And so from about fall 2024 last year to beginning of this year, we hosted intergenerational workshops around the country. So with young people and leaders in various communities around the country to really have them think about what the 250th will look like, and have them think forward thinking as well, not just the 250 and how we're commemorated, but thinking towards the next 250 years for our country, and created a really good, interesting toolkit that anyone can use. So with programming ideas, with ways to do this type of brainstorming. So that is the offering that we have on the website as well. And it's a great kind of foundation to use, like I said, if you're wanting to do these consultations with our bureau members.
Great. Thanks so much.
Of course. Other questions?
I guess I have another one. Also thinking ahead, you'll be doing civic season next year too, right? So like if we get slowly started this year
Yep,
and get
that's
into
perfect.
Youth 2050 in the fall, we could actually like really blow it out of the water next civic season, right?
Yep. And that's why I say like civic season, like I said, it always looks different for institution. We've had institutions who have done this for 5 years and have like slowly but surely with each passing year do more and more. So we always welcome that for institutions. So if you are submitting programming and resources, awesome. And then next year you have more time to think about an in-person program or think about more collaborations with other institutions. We welcome that for the following year as well. So yeah, this is a great kind of on-ramp to just think about this programming and how you can do it more next year. And we're really going to be tying in the 250th with Civic season next year. Because like I said, that's kind of been our guiding light from the beginning.
I'll just say I'm
Oh
clicking
yeah,
around.
awesome.
I'm clicking around the bureau of folks there, and Lisa, I found you a youth bureau speaker based in Ann Arbor. So yeah, great to
Yes.
see the kind of geographic spread of folks that you've recruited into that program. It really looks like some impressive young leaders.
Awesome. Yes, and that to that point, both with civic season and outside of that, if you want young people to come and speak or to kind of come share their opinions, be on panels, let us know within the capacity of what our young people have going on. We're happy to kind of facilitate that and be able to do that.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, Lisa, I'm in Metro Detroit, so I'm also like 45 minutes away from you.
Cool. That's great. Thanks, Hope.
And we'll be having a slice of history. I think the Ann Arbor Public Library is doing a program this year for civic season. So they'll be participating for the first time this year.
Oh, that's great. Actually, I would love
Yeah,
some information. I don't want to
for
make this all
sure.
about me, but I'd love
No,
to get
you're
that
fine.
information because that would be an easy way for us to connect into is to
Yeah.
just join their slice of history.
Yes, for sure, for sure. Happy to send that information over. Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Super excited to hopefully have you all join Civic Season in whatever capacity, whether that is personal, with sharing with your ninth graders. So love to hear that. And just as an institution. So thank you all for this time to be able to share that. And I will pass things back to Lisa. Oh, I'm sorry. Passing
No,
back to Judy, I believe. I'm so
No,
sorry.
Lisa.
no, it's me. It's just I was slow to the unmuting part. But yeah, thank you for passing it back. So thank you so much, Naya and Hope. I really do encourage everyone to consider registering to participate in Made by Us. They showed us so many things that we could be doing and told us a little bit about what we could be working on in the future. You could also share this webinar with others at your institution interested in this topic to encourage them to participate. So there's some folks that I knew wouldn't be able to come today, and I'm going to send the link when I get it to those folks because I'm probably not the person to act directly on any of this. But then also, please connect with the Learning Network Committee to share with us how you end up celebrating Civic Season. And Judy, would you like to give us a preview of some other upcoming events?
Sure. I also just want to pile on the appreciation to Made by Us. I'm so excited about everything that this group does, and thank you so much for joining us and sharing all of this with us. I have lots of enthusiasm and optimism for how this can be kind of scaled by ARL. So, just in terms of upcoming learning opportunities, we started this year with the ARL President's Institute, which focused on intergenerational collaboration. So really set us up to, to have this kind of conversation with Made by Us. And then you can look forward to this fall registering for next year's President's Institute. That's a public learning offering. It will be around innovation. And I think that innovation can certainly be in the civic space. I also want to plug for our deans and directors, the Executive Institute that we'll be having this fall on how libraries contribute to civic health. So with that, I just want to say a huge thank you to all of you who participated, and we will make this recording available to our membership and to all of you. So I will.